So, okay. Recording is in progress. We'll start with attendance and then we'll go to the approval of the minutes. Okay, Bob.
All right. So just maybe we should tell everybody, Laura, that I'm the acting secretary for tonight, or the acting interim secretary, or however
Yes.
you want to put it.
Yes,
Anyway.
I miss my Lisa, but you'll have to do.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I miss Lisa too. So think of me as the poor man's Lisa. All right, so Laura Spalter
Present.
here. Bob Bender, I'm here. Diamaris Escanio-Bell, you are
Present.
here. Dan Paternack.
Present. Present, thank you.
Okay. David Gelman,
Present.
thank you. Nick Fazio.
I'm here. Good evening, everyone.
All right, thanks, Nick. Sylvia Alexander.
Here.
Thank you, Sylvia. Robert Finuzzi.
Here.
Okay, thanks, Bob. Omar Murray. Omar, I don't see Omar. We'll come back to Omar. Ted Morris. Ted Morris, I don't see Ted either. Charles Merdler. I don't see Chuck. Marty Wolpoff. You're muted, Marty, but I know you're there. Okay.
Sorry, here.
Thank you. Ed Green.
Present.
Thank you. Deborah Travis.
Present.
Thank you, Deb. Julia Gomez.
Present.
Okay, very good. Sergio Villaverde. Don't see Sergio. Sergio? All right, and Jill Towns? Jill, I don't see Jill either. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 executive committee members missing, but we do have a quorum.
All right, excellent. Well, maybe they'll join us.
Mhm.
Okay, so the minutes have been distributed. And are there any comments on the minutes? I want to say, David, that I did speak to Lisa, and I know she had a conversation with you on last month's minutes. And the new language is acceptable to you, David? Work progressed over the summer. Discussing budget requests with committee chairs and agencies. Budget chair noted that the list is good, but is concerned that he had little opportunity to provide input to the changes made over the summer prior to the submission to and review by the officers. Okay, so I know you already had this conversation and this is what she gave me. You're good, David?
Yeah, I think so.
Good, good, good. Are there any other comments on the minutes? Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Okay, good. Second,
Second,
and so the minutes are unanimously, wait, no. Is there anyone who's opposed to passing the minutes? Anyone abstaining? Okay, so unanimously approved. Thank you. Next is the chair's report. I'll be very brief. I want to give a flood update. Kira and I have had many conversations with Chester Management, our landlord, regarding the fact that the office was flooded so severely after Ida. We have a very good update. Very happy to say that the landlord has hired a professional licensed company to deal with mold removal and cleaning. He's going to pull up the rugs. He's going to put down a waterproof floor that will look like wood tile type of thing. It's going to be all mold resistant. And the work has already started. They started on Monday. It should take a week or two. He also offered us a space in the building. If we need to all go in, if we give him some advance notice, we can work on the third floor. You know, if we have to come in, because we can't go into the office. This is, I can't tell you how excited and happy I am about this news with the office, because it was just a disaster. So that's that. Now regarding 185 West 231st Street, an update. Kira and I testified for the new office relocation at the Department of City Planning. It's called a 195 hearing. We did that on September 22nd. It went very smoothly. DCAS was also there. And the next move is it goes to the City Council. That's all good news. However, we're not going to probably be able to get in until next summer. It's still under construction, but good. I mean, it's moving along. It's taken years and it's a process. I guess, you know, that's the bureaucracy. A reminder that we're starting our October meeting at 6:30 for our public hearing on the budget. We'll also be holding elections for Secretary and Parks Committee. And I want to take this moment to really thank Rosemary and Lisa for their years of dedicated service. And that's it. And moving on to the treasurer's report. Dia.
Thank you, Laura. Hi, everybody. I'm not sure if everyone got the treasurer's report. Did it go out?
Yes.
Oh, it did. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we've allocated $47,909 from our total budget so far, and have $221,000 and change remaining for fiscal year 2022. Following that, in table 1.1 is the OTPS detail, and currently we've allocated $709,007 from that. I think if you could scroll down a little bit, Kira. I'm not sure if this. Yeah, I have to update this table. Sorry, this is actually the table from the last report, but so we have 27,113 remaining. So I'll update that and get that to you. There are no budget modifications for approval yet. There will be one next month, just to move around some funds into the supplies, into the 100 object code. And we have in table 1.3, our purchase orders and accounts payable update showing we hold $4,593 in encumbered funds. And as always, finally, we have our rent and energy budget, which is maintained by OMB separately, but it's there for your reference. We've allocated $10,102 out of $57,070. And that's it.
Thank you, Dio. Any questions for Dio? Okay, I don't know. Am I looking at the hands or Kira, you looking at the
Yeah,
hands?
no, there are no hands. Sorry, Laura.
Okay. All right, that's all right. I'll keep this up on the screen. Very good. All right, thank you, Dio. So we'll move on to Kira, District Manager's report.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I will also keep it brief tonight, just to echo Laura's excitement about the work being done in the office. Me, Tanya, and Pavel were just so delighted that the landlord is taking our health seriously. We have spoken with DCAS, the Borough President's Office, OMB, just regarding our options, and wrote a letter to the landlord, and they called us immediately for a meeting. So that was wonderful. I know Laura has stopped in. I stopped in the office to make sure, you know, everything was going well, that all our new equipment was covered up and protected. It's looking good. Couldn't get too far in there. I just will note that yesterday and part of today, our phones were unplugged in the office. And so we were unable to receive calls, but we got voicemails, and we just called people back. Second, I've been working with public surplus and getting rid of some of the things that were damaged in the office from the flood. It's just a really long process, but thankfully we're kind of on the same page at this point. We have a few changes in the committee list and the board contact list. We'll be sending that out again this week. So if you have any additional changes, please send it to us so we don't have to resend it once again. I'm also working with OMB on their citywide FEMA claim. We did not have too much damage in the office. Mostly the air purifiers and the fans and the dehumidifiers that were on the floor are no longer working. Could have been a lot worse. But we're including that in the claim for whatever that's worth. And I will keep you updated on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay, now we have FY 2022 expenses and capital budget priorities discussion. Isn't that 2023, David?
Should be 20.
Correct, yes, it's
Yes.
2023.
I just noticed that.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I'd actually sent some in the office about that last week, but anyway, I think everybody's well aware of that.
Yeah, okay, very good. So, David, you want to handle this segment?
Sure, sure.
Okay,
Just so for a general budget update, I just want to remind everybody, 3 of the last 4 Mondays, we've had borough budget consultations with the agencies that went pretty well. Kira had sent out to each of the chairs in advance of the sessions, what the calendar was, what agencies were going to show up, so that the chairs knew when their agencies were going to be there. I think just so Rosemary and Deb took advantage of that, but we had some good conversations. And it was sort of the standard thing where a series of questions had been presented to the agencies, and they had written some responses, and their verbal responses in the consultations weren't dramatically different. But I encourage the chairs to just re-review that which Kira sent about the agency responses, just to get a better idea of what the current thinking is with the agencies. So to go into the drafts themselves, oops, I'm looking at the wrong page. Okay, yes, in terms of the capital request, Kira, I would note that this document is missing the column headings of the current fiscal year priority, and then the right column, the previous year 22 fiscal year priority, plus for when we post this on the website for the community for next week, it should have the watermark of draft.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize I took that off. Okay.
All right, yeah, no, it's not until after Tuesday that it's no longer a draft. I would note one thing here, that number 14, the newly combined ENS and TNT Dickinson realignment one. I just want to double check with Deb and Bob that this language is satisfactory to both of you. I believe you crafted it, but I just want to double check.
David,
Deb,
just for the
Bob,
record,
do you have any
we were
comments on
looking,
it?
we were looking before at the expense. You're talking about capital, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm talking capital.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm having
Oh,
issues here
did you only
pulling up.
post expense? Sorry, I didn't notice.
I
I'm
only
looking
had
at my own
expense.
copy.
I had expense up. Just give me 1 second. I will pull
Okay,
up
No problem.
capital.
But at any rate, Deb and Bob, number 14 was
David, we
that
heard you.
combined
We
one
heard you.
on the realignment of Dickinson and Goulden and Sedgwick and every other thing in that intersection.
Yeah, I
Does
think it
that
looks
language
right.
work for you too?
I just need the screen. I just need to see the document.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Of course, when
says,
I need it, everything goes haywire.
It says realigning and
No,
reconstruct.
David,
You
David, I'd
just-
rather read it. Thank you very much. It's very important what you're saying, so I'd like to read it.
Sure.
Just give us a minute. Kira will get us up. Thank you.
Technology, don't you
okay.
love it?
I'm just looking for the attachments. Here you go. Okay, budget request. All right, I have it myself now. All right, so what number?
14.
14. It's what we submitted.
Access for all. Run one, okay. All right, Deb, this is what we both did, right?
Mhm, yep.
Sorry, I'm in the wrong one.
No,
I have
it's fine.
expense. Let me get the capital. Okay.
I see Omar has joined us.
Okay, thanks, David. We're good, right, Deb? We're good?
Yeah, I'm fine. That's
Okay.
what we,
Thank you.
Just double checking. Thank you.
nope, always good to check.
Okay, so more generally to the other chairs, except for 14, this really hasn't changed over our conversation last month. I just want to make sure that these priorities work for you before we release them to our website and discuss them on Tuesday at the budget hearing before the board meeting.
One good news is that they haven't finished installing them, but you may have read that the MTA is installing Argus cameras in every single subway station in the city. So that's very good news because that was on our list. They haven't finished. Ed is checking, you know, I think
Right,
the.
so that's number 5, but again, that was
Yeah.
just a reminder, those cameras are not available to the 50 precinct. The video images are not available directly to the 50 precinct.
Really?
Yeah, it's
but
only
I thought
after the
they had-
fact.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're on different networks, that's why. Probably for a
Oh, no,
criminal
no. Oh, I
prosecution.
see the subway cameras, but they have different cameras because Captain Melendez was great at getting us cameras. It's just they're different.
No.
Right,
You
right,
were talking about the subway cameras.
right, right. Subway
The
cameras.
subway cameras are on a different network and not
Right.
available to the 50
Right.
precinct. At any rate, back
Well,
to my original
if they
question.
need it, David, if they need it, they would
Yes,
have access to
after
it,
the
just like
fact.
NYCHA, yeah.
After the fact for prosecution, et cetera, but on an ongoing basis, no. All right, at any rate, so a question back to the chairs. Any questions or modifications about these priorities?
I can't raise my hand. How do I raise my hand again?
We hear you.
Okay, would you mind if I spoke up without raising my hand? I can't. do
Yes,
You can
there's only a
speak,
couple of
Bob.
us.
I hear you. It's
Okay, thank
it's just us family here, you know?
We don't need to make any changes now because I'd rather have the public be part of the conversation. And I do note that daylighting is number 6, and that means a lot. I just wanted to remind everybody about Ida and the flood and the international attention that flooding on the Deegan has caused and for this district and the emergency status that the city is now in, having its Van Cortlandt Lake overflow its weir and flood its only evacuation route. So you don't have to decide now and we don't have to make this, but because our demand for resilience and our demand for daylighting are just rhetoric without a reflection in the budget. I just wanted everybody to consider the urgency of daylighting and all expenses associated with it. I'm just making that now. I just want you to consider it. Think about how strong we will be in the position we will be in if we have a budget priority that reflects really a state of emergency. The next storm may in fact strand people who need to be evacuated. So Deb, do you have any thoughts on that based on what our meeting told us?
I feel like we're still trying to figure out what our response should be. I mean, that the agencies will come back in November and they'll give us better kind of guidance in terms of what's already in play and then what needs to be kind of advocated for. I mean, I do think that here with the existing Tibbetts daylighting item, we might want to extend it to stormwater, just add stormwater to that, in addition to reducing the combined sewer overflow, it's also and stormwater flooding.
Okay, that's a very good addition, David. To reduce.
You want Kira to put that in right now?
To reduce storm combined sewer overflow and
And
manage
stormwater flooding.
stormwater. And I
So
do
you're talking
believe
about
that-
number 6?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Okay,
do
Kira, are
believe-
you able to do that change?
I do feel.
Honestly,
this
I'd
will-
rather just do it after, if okay,
Oh,
because
okay,
this is
that's
a
fine. Good,
PDF.
good, good.
By the
And-
time I find my
Right,
Word
right.
version.
Right,
And,
right, right.
and,
I'm
and,
just letting everybody know, gonna make a proposal among the full board that this get a highlighted status, whatever you finally decide. But I believe that making a statement about daylighting that failure to daylight was a cause of flooding, that I believe that it will allow us to have credibility when we need resiliency in this area.
and I think, I think your point is well taken. I think we also should somehow keep in mind going forward, from what I have read, that the massive flooding on the Deegan has seriously caught the attention of the New York State and US Departments of Transportation, that they've got a very, very serious issue there that they've got to deal with, and that this could go along with that relatively easily. I mean, if they're going to deal with that issue, which is likely to be along the right of way, the old right of way of the Putnam next to the Deegan, incorporating Tibbetts daylighting and Van Cortlandt Lake Weir and all that, probably could piggyback pretty easily. I don't know exactly how, but I know that is being contemplated by both of those agencies and their substantial financial wherewithal to address it. So
There's going to be a lot of budget transfers, David. You are correct, and DEP is seeking extra money as they should because of those issues you're bringing up. So anything we can do to help, and I just want to bring to this committee right now the sense of emergency and urgency that I brought to our that our committee. I was not at the committee meeting. Brought to this flooding issue. And so daylighting is very much embedded in that. That's all. I don't really want to make any change right now, but I want you to consider. I'm going to make a strong push at the full board to move this up. David, thanks a lot.
okay, Dan, did you have a
Laura,
question?
Laura, I see Dan's hand up.
Oh, you know what? I don't have this up going.
Yeah, just
Okay. I
just an
see
info.
Dan and Deb.
Right.
So who do you want first?
Dan,
Dan,
Oh, Dan,
I
you're
already called
first.
on you.
Second. Yeah, just a quick point of information on 29 Capitol Parks. I noticed that you guys had in there that Parks is looking to make a headquarters if they can do a sewer connection. I mean, I hadn't heard about that before. I was just wondering about that. Would that replace their headquarters or is this just an additional facility?
you know, I
I
just
think I
spoke
knew
with
about that.
Iris about this and Stephanie at the Van Cortlandt Alliance. This is something that's over in the other area of the park near Jerome
Yeah.
Avenue. And they are looking to make an additional headquarters there. I asked Kira to bring it up at District Service Cabinet while DEP and Parks were there. And so they're having discussions and getting more information about that.
Yeah.
It would be very good. And then I was with Iris the other day and I said, you know, we have this item. And she said, can you send that to me? So I said, as soon as we vote on it, we're gonna send it. But Stephanie was saying there's a need to have, it's such a huge park, so you need something on this part of the park, on this part, you know, and
Yeah.
the building can't be, it can't be used until this happens. So we're working
No,
on that, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, it's our blueprint, and you know, it's a budget item, but I think we need to work 10 months a year on trying to move things forward one way or another, you know what I mean? So,
Yep.
yeah.
No, I think it's great. No, I didn't know about it, but thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been there for a while. It's just another satellite, frankly.
Yeah, but this year we'll try to get it done because Effie didn't know too much about it, and we're talking to Effie about it as well. We're trying to get something done here.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Deb?
I wanted to, number 7, this is not my budget priority, but I noticed that it was on NYCHA DOT sidewalk,
Mhm.
repair of sidewalks in front of Marble Hill. And I just wanted to, when I was on the budget consultation call, DOT said that they're currently working with NYCHA to identify defective sidewalks, and they have funding to do those repairs. So this might be something that maybe Kira can look into before the meeting, because maybe we can just identify these and there's already existing funding. There seems to be a program now.
Sure.
Thanks, Deb.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments or questions on the capital priorities?
Okay.
Seeing no
I don't see any
hands.
Dan,
Well,
that's
Dan
fine before
and Deb, you can drop your hands, but all right, let's move over to expense. Similar formatting matters, but and draft, but any comments or questions from the chairs?
One moment as I pull it up.
Let me find it. Where is mine? Where is my expense? Got it. Okay.
It would be helpful if we could format both of these consistently in terms of spacing and all that trivia.
Yeah, David, I might call on you to help with that.
Okay.
'Cause I don't know specifically what you want, and might just be easier if we have a phone call about it.
Works for me.
Okay, see, do I have any hands? Does anybody have any comments? Or
I don't see any
I
hands.
don't see any hands.
I don't either.
Okay, so, all good. Thank you, everybody, for your attention to this. Thank you, David. I know, I have reached out to some agencies and they're coming to our budget hearing to update us. They've looked at this list and maybe they have some other new ideas. So, everybody who comes, they have 3 minutes and we're interested in what they have to say. So, all right, so moving along. Committee resolutions. Where should we start here, Kira? What do you have loaded up?
I'm gonna pull up P&T, just because Chuck isn't on and just to give him time if he is
Okay.
coming on.
Right. Okay, let me find TNT as well.
Okay, Deb.
So we met last night, and we have 2 resolutions coming out of last night's meeting. The first one that's up it's the reverse order of what happened in the call, but that's fine.
Do you want me
This
to
is-
start down here?
Sure.
Okay.
That's
Okay,
fine.
let's start with.
So this is Cape Cod Johnson. So we had a discussion about the intersection of Cape Cod and Johnson and the pedestrian safety issue that led to Ruth Mullen being struck by a bus a few weeks ago. I'm happy to say that DOT has responded already. I mean, both the assemblyman and the city councilman have been very, very active, and I believe the State Senator Biaggi been very active in working with DOT to identify issues and to make sure that this was addressed quickly. So DOT was on the call and discussed the work that they've already done as far as reinforcing the repainting the pedestrian crosswalk area. I'm putting in a little rubber bumper kind of to divide the lanes just to force some calming on left turns. And then they have two proposals, two studies that they're going to be working on. One is a traffic signal study, because there's been requests from many in the community to have a traffic signal, and then just improving lighting at this intersection. They're looking at existing units and moving them and possibly adding another. So so this is I can read it, or you can read it. This one passed unanimously. Let me know
Deb,
whichever.
if I can suggest a small change.
Sure, let me just pull it up 1 second.
Oh, Kira's got it up.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yours, I see.
What's the change, David?
The second line, an intersection with visibility limitation due to multiple slopes,
Okay.
multiple varying slopes.
Does the slope, does the fact that it varies matter? I mean, could it just be multiple slopes?
Okay, fine.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Anybody else?
I do see Marty's hand is up.
Okay.
Yeah, I would ask that you look at the resolve. I don't think it flows properly.
Okay.
Therefore, be resolved, the Traffic and Transportation Community Board 8 supports the DOT proposal to study for the need of a traffic light and improved lighting at this intersection.
To study, so we're missing a
The
verb
need
here,
for.
just the need for?
To study the need for
Okay.
a traffic signal and
And-
with the improved lighting.
Okay, that works. And improved lighting at this intersection. So therefore it says, therefore be it resolved that the Traffic and Transportation Committee of Community Board 8 supports the DOT proposal to study the need for a traffic signal and improved lighting at this intersection.
Deb, real quick, grammatical.
Yeah.
Support a DOT or supports a DOT proposal? Because DOT hasn't proposed anything yet, correct?
True.
Well, they did propose to study it.
Okay, so then that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, because that was part of their list of proposed actions. But good point. Anything else on this one? And then Kira, do you want to go to the KPOC and Palisade one? So this one, we had a lot of discussion on the committee on. We did not quite get to unanimous, but we got pretty close, I think. We just so whereas in October, right, well, here I can give the background to it. Looks like the formatting is a little bit maybe it's not formatted quite right. We had a conversation about the existing pedestrian curb extension at the corner of Palisade and KPOC. It was installed in October of 2019. It's been a source of tension, community concern for since it was installed. So the therefore be it resolved is the part that we worked on pretty vociferously in committee. I can read that out loud. Therefore be it resolved that the flawed design fails to adequately address stormwater. On behalf of the Traffic and Transportation Committee, we strongly urge DOT to remove the curb extension and restore the street to its previous design, preserving pedestrian safety while reducing impervious surface, integrating green infrastructure, rebuilding the curb on the west side of Palisade Avenue, and incorporating new stormwater catch basins as needed, and to bring their plan back to the committee. This essentially follows the request that was made by the co-op board for 2727 Palisade. They did not, just to be clear, they did not come out and directly say that the curb extension should be removed. However, we did hear from a lot of people in the community who did make that specific ask. And so that became kind of part of our resolution. I was also happy to see that both the Assemblyman and the City Councilman Dinowitz, they released a joint letter today regarding this and included the essentially we were on the same page as far as what the ask was, including the curb, which the City Councilman Dinowitz brought up last night during the call. So we added that. I tried to, as far as the whereases, I tried to just give some very basic setup for the situation. So are there any concerns?
Bob Bender's hand is up, and then David. Bob?
Yeah, Deb, I think you can eliminate some wording in the therefore be it resolved clause. In that second sentence, instead of saying on behalf of the Traffic and Transportation Committee, why not just say the Traffic and Transportation Committee strongly urges DOT?
Yeah, good.
So which one, I'm sorry, I was just pulling this up.
Yeah,
where-
in the therefore be it resolved clause,
Mhm.
the second sentence that begins on behalf,
So just say the Traffic and Transportation Committee.
Transportation Committee strongly urges DOT. Okay,
Instead of take out the we, yeah.
Strongly,
Yeah.
yep.
and then down at the bottom, and to bring their plan back, I think it should say something like, and to bring a plan to do this back to the committee.
Okay, yep, that makes sense.
Okay,
And to-
Kira, where's hands up? I'm so sorry.
I see David.
What the
So
heck?
so then it says, therefore
Oh,
be
I'm
it
sorry.
resolved.
Go ahead.
So that now it says, therefore be it resolved that the flawed design fails to adequately address stormwater. The Traffic and Transportation Committee strongly urges DOT to remove the curb extension and restore the street to its previous design, preserving pedestrian safety while reducing impervious surface, integrating green infrastructure, rebuilding the curb on the west side of Palisade Avenue, and incorporating new stormwater catch basins as needed, and to bring a plan to do this back to the committee.
right, thank you.
All right, Bob, I see you got it. Fanuzzi. And I was, okay.
Yeah, I'm moving between platforms. So Deb,
David?
my suggestion is,
Wait, David's next, and then you, Bob.
I'm sorry, David, go.
Okay. Yes, Deb, two corrections that I think are important. The second, whereas the extended curbing inadequately directs water runoff. It does not block.
Okay. I'm going to pretend I know I can spell inadequately this evening.
Break it up. Inadequately
Inadequately directs?
directs water runoff. It does
Okay.
not block.
So it doesn't do anything right, is what I'm hearing.
No, it does. It
I-
does
it was-
direct, but
It
just
was
not.
just no, I'm sorry, that was a joke, that it wasn't even blocking correctly, so.
Oh, okay.
No, it's fine. So inadequately, and then what was the other?
Inadequately directs water runoff.
Okay. Yep, okay.
And then the next one, whereas the community has heard a mixed testimony from members of the community.
I don't know if we could honestly describe the testimony as mixed.
Oh, it certainly was, because I spent quite a bit of time opposing this language and of removing the curb extension.
Yeah,
And
but it
others did
would-
as well. And as I pointed out last night, the letter that we got from the board of directors of the co-op right there did not ask for removal of the curbs. So I'm not real happy about the therefore be it resolved, but if you can change the language in this paragraph, it at least will be factual.
I would say though that mixed makes it sound as though it was evenly balanced between the desire to remove the curb extension and the focus on the stormwater. So maybe we need to find just some other place for that that distinction that you're asking for. But has heard testimony from the community calling for removal of the curb extension.
Deb, if you don't mind, it sounds like we're relitigating this. This is what we were supposed to do last night.
Right.
Well, this
but to
language
be-
was not
but to-
available
but to-
last night.
Yeah, to be fair to David, the whereases were something I had to write this morning. We just worked on the therefore be it resolved. So I wanted to see if I could find something in here. Heard testimony from the, like, it could be like, whereas the committee has heard testimony from the community primarily calling for the removal of the curb extension. I mean, that opens up space for other voices.
How about from the community regarding the impact of the curb extension?
Well, no, because then that takes away the call for removal.
You're right. It does.
Yeah, but I think that the purpose of that whereas is to just highlight that the one of the main reasons that is in the therefore be it resolved is because the community requested it.
I think you're attempting to water down the resolution.
Yeah.
If you have a vote which says 2 people objected, that's the same thing as mixed reaction. The resolution stands on its own and should.
But therefore be it resolved addresses the curb extension, given that there was a mixed discussion.
That's why 2 people voted against.
Yeah.
Okay, can we move on to Bob Fanuzzi? Thank you, David. Bob?
This was another wordsmith. I think that Bob may have covered it. I'm sorry if it did. Deb, when you say, you should just say, therefore be it resolved that the TNT committee urges and the flawed design fails to adequately resolve storm water really would be a whereas. So just make your demand cleaner and having to do with procedure and investment, not the rationale for it. So if you want to put that, that would be a whereas. The flawed design fails to address stormwater.
What if, okay.
So just always get right to the ask that you're making, not
Yeah,
the
yeah.
rationale for it. And then if you want to add that rationale, that would be a whereas.
Oh, just make it itself its own whereas.
Correct.
Okay.
Whereas the floor design fails to adequately, I see. Oh,
Yeah.
Yes, let's get to your
Okay.
ask.
mhm.
I see.
Okay, that's it. Thanks.
Marty?
Oh, I want to ask a question after we pass this.
Just 1 second. Yeah, just 1 second.
Oh, we're not gonna pass it. right?
We're not passing it. We
Yeah,
move
we're
on.
passing it by. We're moving on.
I have a few comments too, Deb.
Yeah, so just 1 sec. So I got one
Sure.
where, so now it would say, just fixing. All right, so now it says, whereas on July 8th and September 1st, 2022, 2727 Palisade Avenue experienced flooding due to inadequate stormwater management in the design of this intersection. That actually seems to be redundant to the sentence, whereas the flawed design fails to adequately address stormwater. It says the same thing. So I'm just
No,
gonna cut.
no, because here you're saying that the building got flooded. It is different. And I would add severe flooding, because it wasn't just flooding, it was severe.
Okay, so severe flooding due to inadequate stormwater management in the design of the intersection. And then another whereas that says the flawed design fails to adequately address stormwater just on its own. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know, that was Bob Fanuzzi's comment, but if you could put spaces in between the whereases, it would be helpful too.
Okay,
Yeah, just have
That-
that spacing, it'd be easier, yeah,
that I can do. It makes it look like I've written something much longer.
right, well, and I think generally there are commas after the whereases. in
Oh, is
BS,
it commas
but
and
that's
not
okay,
semicolons?
as long, if it gets spaced, a little bit easier to read, yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you'd have an additional whereas that says, whereas prior to the reconstruction of the intersection, there was never any flooding at 2727 Palisade Avenue since the
No.
building's construction in 1955, despite many hurricanes. I think it helps make the case that there's a cause and effect.
What if we instead put whereas on July 8th and September 1st, 2727 Palisade experienced severe flooding for the first time due to inadequate stormwater management in the design of the intersection.
You have to say, though, for the first time since the building was constructed in 1955, because I think that's a very powerful argument. All these years, we've had plenty of hurricanes. And I just think that it helps round it out about why we're focusing on the 2727.
Okay, then we're going back into what Ed was talking about, relitigating it because.
No, I mean, it's just a fact. It's just. a
Well,
fact, but
no,
it's
that's an
okay.
incomplete fact. Because it was the first time New York City has ever experienced 3 inches of rain in an hour, ever.
I don't think that's accurate.
That is accurate.
Actually,
Ever.
David, David,
David, I don't think that that's, I went and looked it up as well.
it's
Yeah,
the
I know,
first
I
time
looked it
that
up
AGT
too.
and
I looked it up
Expressway
too.
Flooded
looked it up.
over, but with 5 feet of water.
I mean, it's true that it's the first time that the Deegan flooded that heavily, but it's not the first time we've received that much stormwater. So.
Well, anyway,
No,
it's
it's
a
the
thought.
first time
I'm
ever.
just throwing it out there. Let's see. The other thing is,
So am I leaving it the same as it was? Experienced severe flooding for the first time due to inadequate since its construction.
Deb, I think Laura's point is important because that really, it really shows that this particular project is responsible for this.
right, I mean, that fact spoke to me because it never happened since 1955. And now we have this new construction from DOT. I just think that it rounds out why we're saying what we're saying in our Be It Resolved.
Correlation is not
But, you know,
causation.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, it was said by the building, by the High Point. It was said by that building's co-op board that it never happened before. I'm believing them. I'm taking them at their word.
No,
But again, I'm just
I think
throwing
that's
out
true. I think that is true.
that it never flooded, that this is the
Correct.
first time. Okay,
But
that's
we
my
never
point.
had
I'm not
3
wordsmithing
inches of
it. I
water.
just think that it's a fact that if we could work in is a persuasive fact. I mean, there are many other facts, but I happen to think that that's a
All right,
cause.
all right, then you need to include that the lobby is 15 feet below grade.
No, I wouldn't include that because they never flooded before. I don't
No,
care
we-
how old their lobby is. But anyway, you know, I'm not married to it, but I just thought that was an important fact. And there's one other thing. I think incorporating new stormwater catch basins as needed, that's a 15-20-year deal with DEP. I'm
Well, yeah.
wondering,
But
do we really want to put that in? That's in the.
I
Be It
believe
Resolved.
yes, just because it is aligned with that it is what we would want, that it's already been voted on by the committee. And I think that even if it's not
Okay.
done.
Yeah,
like,
no, I'm
there's no
good.
harm,
I'm
no
good. It's just
foul
that when
there.
I read it today, I'm like, oh my goodness, 20 years, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm fine, obviously.
They could-
The
they
Be
could
It
do a-
Resolved, I don't want to mess
they
with.
could
Yeah.
do a
I'm pretty
phased
sure
approach.
that the sewer line actually runs right there along the curb. So it would be a matter of installing catch basins, not redesigning the intersection,
Yeah,
tearing up all the underground.
right. I mean, even involving DEP in this would be very helpful. It seems that's one piece that's not even been done.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. No, that's fine. That's fine.
Plus
Uni-
involving them with
One
both-
last comment. Many years from now, people won't remember that it was July 8th and September 1st. So perhaps whereas due to storms occurring on July 8th and September 1st, or
Oh,
hurricane.
I could, why don't I do, I'll look up whether they're tropical storms. One's a tropical storm and one's a tropical depression, but I can say whereas
Yeah, that
tropical
they were
storm
storms.
Ida on blah, 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 and tropical depression.
Yeah, no, yeah, because years
On-
from now, people won't know what was July 8th, what was September 1. That's my last comment about identifying that.
So it was a tropical storm, it was Elsa, right?
Ida,
Ray?
No, on July 8th, I think that was Elsa, right?
Oh, I don't know.
Ida was definitely
Yeah.
September 1.
Yeah, I
I
was
believe
September
you're
1.
right. These are the same storms that we got flooded, so I believe it's Elsa.
Elsa's
July.
July 8th and Ida. Okay, so it would say
Right.
whereas on July 8th, tropical storm Elsa, and so on September 1st, tropical depression Ida. I'll figure
Dropped
it out.
unprecedented amounts of rain water or storm water.
But you know what, David? During the winter, the cold winter, when you didn't have these storms, they still had a bad ponding and ice situation on their sidewalks that was dangerous. I mean, we can go on and on and on about facts of why this is a disaster.
Well,
but-
but let's do it in a balanced.
But we're not,
fashion.
I'm not, I'm just throwing it out. It's not just that there was so much, it's winter too. Had
No,
brought
but-
different issues.
That it's just, Laura.
But I'm not saying to add that. I'm just responding to what you said, that
We're
it's,
recapitulating the meeting. We can't be doing this here. There was already a TNT meeting
That's
on this
fine.
subject.
thank you.
Yes,
I'm done.
we definitely need a trigger warning if we're going to start discussing it all over again. So what I'll say is this, whereas during tropical storm Elsa on July 8th and during tropical depression Ida on September 1st, 2021, 2727 Palisade Avenue experienced severe flooding for the first time since its construction due to inadequate stormwater management in the design of this intersection. So that's that whereas. Is that okay?
Sounds good to me.
Any other edits or changes?
Okay, I don't see any other hands. I think they're up from before.
So then
Yeah.
Kira, I'll
Alright.
send you those two drafts, those revisions.
Okay, thank you. Marty has his hand up. I don't know if that's from before, and same with Bob Fanuzzi.
It's on the subject, but not on the resolution. In previous writings, I had seen that that Verizon was a victim of the flood just as badly as 2727. Living in Skyview, a little distance away, month I didn't have phone service. Have you contacted Verizon to find out how we have mutual interest and how we can help each other?
Not yet, but you know what? I was gonna talk to Fanuzzi about, to Bob about that, because we did invite Con Edison in. And this might be something, I just haven't had a chance. Now, that was a very interesting point. Because community-wide, Verizon was knocked out, and it was because of this particular flooding. And that, I think we should pursue that. I just don't know which committee and how we'll do that, but I think that's a good suggestion, Marty. That's my thought.
Also, Laura would add that there were, I think, two other households who were on Riverdale Avenue who were experiencing, or no, one was on Independence Avenue, and then I think one was on Riverdale Avenue who also experienced severe flooding, and that they were asking for help too with, because the flooding was recurring. So that may also be something maybe we should discuss at ENS.
Yeah. My Verizon, my landline was out for a week as well, and then it came back. So I know that it was widespread.
Yeah.
Yeah, Verizon should have, tell us what their plan is. Yeah.
I see Bob's hand just went up.
Bob Fanuzzi?
Mhm.
Bob, is that up from before?
I believe so.
I thought you just put it up.
Okay, so Bob, your hand's not up. I don't know, I think he's muted. All right,
He
so,
stepped away. Let's move
okay,
on.
so, no, this is good. Thank you. Thank you, Deb and the committee for your work. Okay, so, we'll move on to land use.
I'll pull up land use. Do one of, okay, Marty, you're gonna do it.
I may as well, okay.
Sure.
You want to put them up,
Sure.
please?
Yep, I'm pulling it up. 1 second.
Okay, this first one, you see was unanimously approved. Basically, this house made a request a year or so ago. They wanted to take an outdoor pool and put a enclosure above it. And they needed permission from both the Fieldston Property Owners Association and of course, Community Board before they move forward. And we gave it, so they already had approval. But the owner decided, told the architect, forget about the enclosure, just make some other changes. And so this was less than we already approved, and we really had no problem with it. And FPOA supported it. So that's the resolution, is to approve the smaller project.
Good. Okay, thanks, Marty. We have one more.
We have 2 hands, Bob
Hands.
and Deb.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know what? It's off my screen. And if you don't mind, Bob Bender, I'll be right back, okay? Just continue. I could hear you. I'm making it loud, but I'll be right back.
Okay, well, all I wanted to do was point out something that's obvious, which is that the word steep is repeated in that first whereas clause.
Thanks, Bob. I can,
That's because it was very, very steep.
It was a steep
Okay.
slope.
Does it deserve 3 steeps, Marty?
Could be. I haven't been there. Nobody
Okay.
invited me to the pool.
All right. Thank you, Kira.
Deb, did you have your hand up as well?
Just over the steepness.
Okay, I'm gonna pull up the next one now, Marty.
I'm here. Yes, we discussed this briefly last month. Those who watched the program, the Special Victims Unit, whatever it's called on TV, this is not the same one. The police department wants to set up I guess a borough-wide, even a citywide victim squad to be placed in the 50th precinct. They selected the site at Broadway. By and large, last month, we agreed with them. We had no problem with it, except there was vast concern about abuse of parking by the police, whether it be the 50th itself or the people who work in this unit who will be bringing their own cars. There is a parking lot in back. We just felt the parking lot wasn't adequate, and we needed something from the 50 or the NYPD that they would not abuse their placards and park wherever they wanted. So we received a letter, some assurances from the captain, both the one who left and the one who's here now, and we approved it. You know, the vote was unanimous except for one abstention, and that's the resolution. And Chuck will do a better job of it next week.
Okay, any questions? Let me see if I have hands. Okay, I see Bob and David and Deb.
Okay, so in the first whereas, Marty, I don't recall what CAS stands for. Can we spell that out?
I'll
Was
check
it
with Chuck
DCAS?
and
I think it's DCAS.
yes,
DCAT. Ah, okay.
That's what it
All
has
right.
to be, yes.
Okay, that's better. And are we, Kira, are we correctly spelling Camillea's name?
No,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Deb?
I wanted to just double check one item, which is the in the second paragraph, the second whereas it says neither NYPD it says not Special Victim Squad. I think it means neither
Nor.
NYPD nor Special Victims Squad
Yes,
personnel, nor, and there's an extra space there, those members of the public with which they are engaged. Laura, can you just double check? I know that they were going to put a letter together.
Oh, they did.
Did it include also the public? Because I thought it was just the staff, because they had mentioned that the staff would be specifically told they would be penalized at work and they would be receiving a summons. But I don't remember them saying anything about the public, like, being told not to, whatever double park or whatever the public normally does.
I don't believe, Deb, Laura, I can answer this. I don't believe that was in the letter, but I also don't think it was part of the discussion. We can't tell the public they can't park in a public spot, so.
But it won't be a public
that's a good
spot.
point.
They're going to be putting up signs, no parking.
Right, but I don't
And
think they took responsibility for the public not parking there, as in the same way that they did take responsibility for their own staff to not be parking there, that they would communicate that and that they would enforce it.
Yeah, I'm reading the letter now. It's not in there. It's just their staff.
So does Chuck want to make any changes, you think, to this?
I'll have to contact Chuck tomorrow about that piece.
I didn't get the impression that they deal with a lot of public, that the 20 parking spaces were for their staff, unless, it could be witnesses and things like that. Yeah, but still, the numbers they gave
So,
seem to
so-
cover it.
Laura, if I may, I'm
Sure.
sorry, just,
Dan,
so
go ahead.
on this topic, if we're talking about general public, most members of the general public are not gonna have a plaque. So the issue with police vehicles and even personal vehicles of officers is that they put a plaque in the window and they're not gonna get ticketed. A member of the public is not gonna be doing the same. So I'm not as concerned with the police department taking, or I should say the Special Victims Unit taking responsibility for members of the public or even their guests parking on the street, because those individuals are not gonna have plaques.
Right. It seems like that sentence, that little part of that sentence doesn't need to be there.
That was the issue that we had raised in the committee, because of the tendency of NYPD to park basically wherever they want to, and why we asked for that commitment. And we were particularly by the Deegan entrance, and when we were not really sensitive to a concern of the public parking there. And Dan, my question was going to be, just for clarification on this point, you did make a presentation the other night, and I got a phone call during it. Was the gist of your presentation this second paragraph?
I can't read that, but if you tell me what the second paragraph is, I can tell you.
Whereas the applicants, particularly NYPD, Special Victims and 5-0 Commander, can you read it now?
I can't, but keep going.
Oh, okay. Have provided assurance that parking restrictions will be enforced on 230th, and neither NYPD or Special Victims personnel will be permitted to park in restricted areas adjacent to the premises, especially West 230th. Was that the gist of what you said the other night?
It was 230th and exterior that we had raised.
Okay.
And then we also said, we said that exterior was an important avenue also because of the intersection. The other thing that's notable here in this, and I'm just reading this or hearing it right now for the first time, the 50th precinct, the command at the 50th really isn't involved here. This is a different unit.
That's what I thought.
So the folks who we were speaking to wasn't the 50th precinct. The folks who we were speaking to were inspectors from the Special Victims Unit. And those are the folks who made the commitments.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, I think they also made a case that they're not the precinct. I agree with Dan. I mean, this is very specialized.
They're completely separate.
They're completely separate. Okay, do I see any other hands? I don't
Should
think-
we include exterior street on this, in this paragraph, Dan?
I think as long as we clarify that with NYPD, we certainly should.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
It seems like it might be in the letter. I don't know if Kira has the letter in front of her that delineates which street.
Hold on.
But it's important to have those
Sure,
two
maybe you want to put the
qualifiers.
letter up.
Okay, give me, I have it physically in front of me. Let me pull it up on my computer.
Sorry, Dan, I didn't realize. Are you telephoning in?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now I understand.
Hold on, I'm just, yeah, I can't. Yeah.
Laura, while we're waiting, can I ask who is Samsung Gallery? I'm sorry, Samsung Galaxy S7? Is that a community board member?
Is that me?
Yes, if you're. a
Yes,
Samsung
it sounds like
Galaxy
Sergio.
S7,
No, I'm in resident.
You're a resident, okay. All right, you
I'm
you
just
don't have to
wondering if-
identify.
I'm just wondering, did you get to the homeless shelter yet?
No, that's not on tonight's agenda.
Unless a member brings it up under issues for discussion. But the protocol for executive committee is that just the members of the executive committee speak, just so you know. But when there's a committee meeting on that item, the public can speak. Just so you know what that protocol, and welcome Samsung Galaxy to the meeting.
I believe that item is on the Health and Hospitals agenda.
Right, Omar may want to bring it up.
All right, everyone. Thank you for your patience. This is the problem, working off multiple email addresses. Hold on. Can you see my screen?
Yes, now.
Yes, it's
Thanks
up.
for chasing this down, Kira. It's helpful.
Here's the letter.
So was the question here, is Excelsior Street mentioned? Is that what we were checking?
Well, and the language in
Exterior street.
general, this is worth reading.
Yeah, so it's to that end, I would like to affirmatively commit on behalf of the staff on site as well as other NYPD staff who may have reason to visit the location to not park personal or department vehicles on West 230th.
I can reach out to the lieutenant and just ask them to include exterior as well.
The piece that we talked about in the meeting had to do with them putting in the letter, the implementation when there's a violation, you know, that was important to us. They have a plan.
I think that there was the part where they added, and disciplinary action will be taken
Yes,
if this directive
yes.
is not adhered to. That was the
Right,
part we wanted
right.
added.
Right. We wanted
There's
to-
anything beyond Michael King's email address? No. All right, thank you. Seeing that letter was helpful.
Yeah, I thought it was a very strong letter. I think that they did what we asked. And that's why, you know, they tried to meet every issue that we raised, basically.
Can I, just for clarification purposes, am I reaching out to them, asking them to put exterior street on the letter, or is this suffice?
Personally, I think we voted on this issue already, and I think they're done.
Okay.
I just think so.
But I think we could ask Officer King to include that as well. I don't think he'd be resistant.
You know, this is their second letter, and I don't know, I'd leave it to the executive committee. In my mind, they satisfied our objectives. This is the second letter. I think asking them to send a third letter is a bit much, but I leave it to the executive committee.
I think you ought to check with Chuck.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, I'll be in touch with Chuck tomorrow about the other edits as well.
Okay, I don't see any other hands. Dan, your hand is up. Is that from before? Okay, so.
From before, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's from before.
Okay, so seeing no further hands, committee member issues for discussion. Anybody want to discuss anything?
Hi, Laura.
Good. Omar, go.
Um,
Because we have someone from the public who's listening.
Yes. Kira, do you want to put up that letter that we got from the notification letter about this homeless shelter?
Okay, give me another minute.
So, we got notice from the Department of Homeless Services that they are intending to put a homeless shelter at 6661 Broadway that will house 130 single males. And they will be coming to the next health hospitals and social services. Both the provider and the Department of Homeless Services will be coming to speak about, you know, what's this homeless shelter about. Usually the service provider will reach out to us, but Kira, I believe only the homeless services reached out to us, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so the provider themselves did not reach out. So only the homeless shelter, only the city agency, which is Department of Homeless Services, reached out. So next meeting, both the homeless service, Department of Homeless Services and the provider will be coming to talk to us about, you know, what is this shelter about, what services they will provide, why did they choose that location. So the goal is to have the community be involved and to have the community voice their concerns. So maybe after, if they decide that they're really gonna push this issue and do this shelter, maybe we need like a public hearing. So that's what's going on here. So I heard somebody from the public that they wanted to say something. Can you say something briefly?
Actually, Omar, at exec, can you give the date of the meeting?
October 30, next Wednesday.
Okay, a week from today.
Yes.
Sir, do you have the link for that meeting? The agenda?
I saw the agenda. I believe I have the link, although.
Perfect. That's where, because we have a protocol that we don't, the public doesn't engage at exec. I'm sorry, but it's very
I
important.
understand. Procedures are procedures.
And please, you know, forward that to people that you feel would be interested. And
Laura, may I just add one thing?
Entire neighborhood.
We have already received some inquiries into the board office, so I recommend other, you know, residents to reach out to us. We'll send them the link. We can provide this letter, and I'll forward that information to Omar and to you before his committee meeting.
so Omar, the service provider, AAPCI, they will be attending?
Yes, they have
Perfect.
confirmed
Okay.
that they will be attending.
Yeah, no, that's critical. That's critical.
Right.
And I want to add that there isn't a building at this address right now. It's on Broadway. It's a series of small stores. So we have to anticipate that they're building something. And we will have many questions, and we can continue. We will have a public hearing. We'll have a whole process. And right now we're getting the information out.
So they're saying the anticipation is fall 2023. That's what basically the notification is saying. So I guess when they come to that meeting, they'll explain more to us.
Right. Okay, thank you, Omar. And, you know, thank you for the research you're doing, and I hope as many board members will attend that meeting.
Right.
Good.
Are they hands up? I see Dan and Marty.
Let's see, let me do that. Yes, Dan and then Marty.
Yeah,
Dan?
can you guys hear me? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I guess I was wondering, Omar, or perhaps Laura, have we gotten any word from buildings about any applications going in for construction plans? 130 male adults, you're talking probably 130 units. I'm guessing so for small units, that's going to be a pretty large building.
Right. So what I'll do is I'll check the Department of Buildings tomorrow.
Yeah, we, Dan, to answer that, we have not as of yet.
I mean,
But
this is
we
going to be a
will.
pretty big. I mean, this is going to be a pretty big project. I mean,
Yeah,
from
something must have been said.
Right. No, that's on my list our list to do. We have a list of what we have to find out well before that meeting. And
yeah,
that definitely.
Yeah.
Marty?
Okay, that was it.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I raised this question to the chair. Generally, the Health Committee has held hearings when it came to group homes in the Paddington bill, and 6 or whatever residents, 8 residents, but we're talking about a hotel. And frankly, I think this is bigger than what the Health Committee has worked on in previous years. So I'm wondering whether or not, looking at it as a hotel, Chuck ought to be involved in the Land Use Committee.
Yes. We will.
I fully support that. I think he should be involved
Yes.
because it touches on land use also. It's a huge project.
And Broadway is zoned R6, and we have several, but there'll be construction, there'll be, that we have a lot of questions. And you know what? We just got this. And it's funny because Eric Dinowitz and Jeff Dinowitz, they got it when we got it. We just learned of this. They didn't learn of it in advance. We just kind of boom, got this. And it's gonna have a big impact. So people have a lot of questions. Julia, is your hand up?
It is. I just wanted
Okay.
to add a perspective as someone who worked with DHS and comes from housing. 130 units sounds like a lot. A lot of it depends on what they're proposing. If it's permanent supportive housing, if it's transitional housing, if it's a temporary shelter, those are 3 very different populations. If they're individual units, if they are SRO where they have a room but a shared kitchen, or there's a lot to be considered here, and they all have very different implications. So I just, I think this meeting's really important, and I'll be there to support. And if anyone has, questions, you guys can text me and I can try to answer offline about some of the more day-to-day things, because DHS funded a lot of my former jobs. But also with what I'm hearing, and I'm not in housing anymore, I'm with the Department of Mental Health, is that I not that we shouldn't try, as I'm hearing that they closed a lot of the shelters due to COVID and health and safety concerns, and they are having a very hard time finding somewhere to put people. If these are people who lost shelter for some reason, like with the transitional place and their CBA residents, like there's a lot of factors here that I don't know, like with some of the, and Omar, please correct me if I'm forgetting history, with some of the smaller group homes, it was kind of done and they were just like, yes.
Whoops.
Are you there, Julia?
All of a sudden, I'm not hearing you, Julian. I don't know, maybe
Laura, while we wait for Julia, may I just add a few points
Yes.
regarding my research with Department of Buildings? Nothing has been filed with DOB since about a year ago. And it was about a year ago where a certain establishment came forward at this location for a liquor license. And that's what the buildings department had approved back then, having to do with a restaurant bar sort of thing. So nothing regarding a new development or anything like that has been filed or approved as of yet.
Right. I wonder at the end of the day whether it's going to be a stag building.
I apologize. My sister called and muted me.
Oh, okay, yeah, well, we just picked up where you left off, so please continue, Julia.
No, I just think, like, I just, based on my experience, I'm just saying, it's hard to find, I think we need to be very much in the information gathering stage, because permanent housing has a very different impact on the community than like transitional housing or a shelter. And I think a lot of people use them interchangeably. So before we go into reactive mode, I encourage us all to stay in information gathering mode. Especially if these turn out to be former CB8 residents who are trying to come home now after a pandemic.
Right, the information seems, that doesn't give us very much. So I'm glad you'll be on that call, Julia.
Absolutely not surprised.
We all have many questions. By any chance, Julia, are you familiar with the AAPCI group?
I did not have much work with them. One of the gentlemen who sits next to me at work is also from DHS. He actually worked for DHS, so I can ask him discreetly if he knows.
Right, their record. I hear from I hear from the community advisory board for the housing for families on Broadway in Kingsbridge. I hear very positive things about how that establishment is run. Of course, it's families, so it's different than 130 single men, but so much depends on the group that's running it. And I've heard very positive things about the group that's running the other transitional housing.
And it's also important, the population, if these are going to be, as my population was, mentally ill, formerly substance abusing, that's a very different thing than if these are, we receive them very differently than families who are fleeing domestic violence, right? And that has a different impact on our community. So,
Right.
But again, if these are 130 men who are just trying to come back to the community because they went into the shelter system pre-COVID and now they're just like, I want to come home, very different.
Well,
I have one thing more to add, just a point of information. The organization AAPCI is African American Planning Commission. And during the pandemic, they were tasked, I guess, by the mayor's office to house people in hotels around the city. And obviously now those hotels, a lot of them are being shut down and reused as actual hotels. They need to build shelters for the people that they took in during that time. So that's the history behind this location.
Oh.
Okay, so what's that date again, Omar? The
October 13th, 7 p.m.
October
sharp.
13th.
And
A
I will
Wednesday.
ask the board office again to send out that agenda again, along with the notification from the Department of Homeless Services.
Okay, so I see one other hand. Is RF a board member?
Yeah, that's
Bob
that's me.
Okay, I didn't recognize that. Go ahead, Bob.
I had to step outside. So it's essential that the two committees do collaborate because the FAR and the funding for this are contingent on use groups and community service provisions in the zoning. And then there's also funding. So likely the conversation will be as much about scale, and all of that is directly a result of the services that are provided. So we really do need both committees here, and especially Julia and Omar's expertise And then we walk back and connect as we have before at 6969, Laura, you remember on Broadway, figuring out the connection between the scale of the building and the ambition of the program within it. So they have a direct correlation. So I'm really glad, Omar, that you're supporting Marty's idea. It really is FAR in funding. And they definitely are leveraged by the services, definitely.
Okay, good. Thank you, Bob. Nick, I see your hand is up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, there's a lot of good points raised about this, and not to muddy the waters anymore, but there's also an education and youth component to this, because if it is families, then we have to consider where the
No, it's
you know,
men.
student-
It's single men.
Oh, we do know that for sure?
Yes, we know that. for
Oh,
sure.
okay, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah. No, 130 men.
Got it.
Yep. Any other hands? I don't see right now. Any other issues that anyone wants to discuss? Any other follow-up on outstanding issues that anyone wants to discuss? Follow up. Okay, I don't see any hands. I want to thank everybody for their attendance and input. And remember 6:30 next week for the budget hearing. And I wish everybody a wonderful night. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Laura, before we adjourn, may I take the liberty of thanking all those on the board for their good wishes to me during my father's death, and it really was extremely welcome and very helpful. So thank you to all.
Oh, yeah, no, of course, Bob, of course.
Thanks.
Okay, so do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Well, I want to thank everybody, and everyone have a terrific night. You deserve it. Okay, good night, everybody. Good night.